The game's over.
Welcome into Triple Zeros. I'm your host, Josh Buchalter. Follow me on Twitter at JoshGBuck. Hit up the Facebook page, Clocker Sports. Hit up the website, clockersports.com. The email address is clockersports@gmail.com. Man, I get to lead off the show talking about the Bears. Don't get much better than that. And I lied. It gets a lot better than that. I get to lead off with the Bears' victory in prime time over a team that many people, including myself, picked them to lose to in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was an ugly game. Listen, I know we complain about the competition with some of the lesser teams. The Broncos game from a couple of weeks ago comes to mind about them just not being up to par. This was an ugly game, and yet I still found myself more intrigued by this than the Broncos. Now, maybe that's just because my Bears were in it and had another come-from-behind victory. This time they didn't have to wait till strictly in the fourth quarter to start scoring points, but they definitely took their sweet-ass time, and things got mighty hectic down there. Now, star of this game, I want to say it's Nick Foles, but it's not necessarily for his play on the field. He ended up completing 70% of his passes, 243 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. But what really sealed the deal in this one might have been the sideline interaction with head coach Matt Nagy, where you saw Foles getting very animated. I wouldn't say angry or hostile, but very animated in discussing with Nagy, and you could bad lip reading. You can kind of make out him saying, you got to go. They're rolling, then you stop it, and you can't stop them. And as Bear fans will tell you, that is more than likely that was when they were running the hurry up, and Matt Nagy called a timeout to get some subs in, and it seems like that's what Matt was telling them. Maybe that you can't see Nagy's face, so this is a pure speculation. All this is, but this is complete because you can't even read the lips. Try to read the lips. But one would assume Nagy was explaining to him, I wanted to get some subs in down there in that situation, and you just see Foles tell him, I don't care. And listen, no disrespect to Matt Nagy in any way, shape, or form, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a Bears fan that didn't find that at least a little bit satisfying for multiple reasons. First and foremost, I've noticed Nick Foles doing a lot more talking on the sidelines than Mitchell Trubisky. Now, I'm not saying that that's unexpected. I'm just saying it's noticed that you see Foles doing a lot more explaining of stuff and what, maybe what he's trying to accomplish, what he saw, as opposed to Nick or Mitch, who was doing a lot of listening, taking in what the coaches were trying to tell him. That's the first thing that I noticed. I noticed that on the sideline actually last week. But this game, seeing him do it that way and telling Nagy, you got to stop it. Listen, sometimes Nagy has a tendency to be overly creative, right? He's known as this offensive genius, but then you see these plays that are just overly fancy in the wrong timing. He outcoaches himself. He outsmarts himself. It's a tendency that's actually ramping up and down the Bears organization. Ryan Pace tried to be the smartest guy in the room and went up and got Mitchell Trubisky when you had Deshaun Watson a layup sitting right there. Ownership, overlooking Chris Ballard for Ryan Pace. Like this is not just a Nagy thing. This is a top to bottom. So anyway, long story short, it was great to see Foles on the sideline kind of, I don't want to say put his coach in check, but definitely let him know, look, dude, I was brought here for this. Let me do what I got to do. And when I'm rolling, stop. That's a very legitimate complaint from anybody. Again, Bears fans will tell you that that's a problem. He has a tendency to stop momentum. He has a tendency to call a play out of whack. Can we do away with the screens and the side-to-side offense? Foles is a vertical threat quarterback, and you trying to do all this horizontal stuff, it hasn't worked for over a year anyway. But you're still to see them still employ consecutive plays where they're just sniffing it out, and then draws on second and long. It's just bad stuff, man, sometimes. And again, this is just a tendency that he has to kind of overcoach. And when he's in a groove, when Nagy's in a groove calling plays, it's beautiful. But there are just sometimes you got to let the guys play, and that's what Foles was basically telling him, or it looked like he was telling him on the sideline there. So that was just a great video. David Montgomery got 17 catches, only had 59 yards, but he did score the Bears' first rushing touchdown of the game. Allen Robinson had 10 catches, 90 yards. Pay that man. Just pay the man, okay? He's been consistent. He was putting up numbers with Mitch. I think he's been reliable with Foles. I know there's been a couple of balls that we wish that he would have come down with, but whatever the case may be, he's still been balling out this season. Pay that man. Quit playing around. Jimmy Graham caught another touchdown. The defense, though. Let's talk about the defense, though. They allowed their first receiving touchdown to Mike Evans, 5 catches, 41 yards in that touchdown. He was a game-time decision. Ended up playing and scoring. Damn it. A touchdown. Ronald Jones had 17 carries for 109 yards. The rushing defense is still not great. I know they brought in Daniel McCullers, and we'll see what happens when he finally gets up if he was active. I don't even know if he was active. Mario Edwards made some good plays. I was surprised by him. The pressure more from him than the run defense, but they were getting gashed by Jones a lot throughout the night, and that's going to be an issue, especially for teams, as we saw, like the Colts, if you can't get off the field on third down, you're giving up chunk plays on second down or third down long, and they can possibly go for it on fourth. That's a problem. The Patriots went forward on fourth down inside their own 20. That's how little of respect they have for the Bears. They got it. They got it. That's what made it that much worse. Man, I had written for Clocker Sports that Gronk was a good bet to get a touchdown in Thursday night because the Bears had allowed 3 touchdowns through the air all season, and all 3 of those touchdowns were to tight ends. The Buccaneers were without O.J. Howard, and so I said, hey, look, man, they get in the red zone, look out. Nope, didn't happen. Mike Evans caught the bad boy, and yeah. Tom Brady, 61% completion and 1 touchdown, no picks. He was sacked 3 times, 2 by Khalil Mack, once by James Vardas. Kyle Fuller forced a fumble before I go to Brady. Listen, this hit, the hit that Fuller put on rookie Deshaun Vaughn, the running back from the Buccaneers, was something that they're going to be showing tape on to young players when they enter the league. He came in with it was such a nasty hit. The referee threw a flag on it just by. I'm telling you, this is reflex. It wasn't because he saw it. It was because he saw dude go down. Because he dropped him like a bad habit. It was bad. Oof. Cleaned him up. Now I tweeted out immediately. Again, follow me on Twitter at Josh G. Buck. I tweeted out immediately like that was clean and vicious. Like Fuller knocked him. That was a. He had to go to the tip for a little while. He was out of the game for quite a while. But Tom Brady, like I was saying, 61% completion, 1 touchdown, no picks. Unfortunately, the Bears couldn't extend that pick 6 habit he has going on right now. But he did end the game very suspiciously. After taking that beating, he was skittish in the pocket. Most noticeably, you could hear that from the broadcast, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, who actually weren't that annoying. Maybe that's because the Bears are winning. Well, they won because they weren't winning the entire time. But late in the game, the end of the game, Tom Brady on 4th down goes short and then is standing in the middle of the field after turnover on downs. It goes incomplete. And standing on the field in the middle of the field and holding up 4 fingers as if to say, this is now 4th down. He didn't know that they had just turned possession over. This was something like, look, I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback that just lost it. And this is, again, the Bucs were without Chris Godwin. Evans had the ankle. Leonard Fournette was available, but an emergency, and he never ended up seeing the field. This was... Brady didn't look bad, but he definitely got rattled. At one point, on Mac's second sack, and the Bears were around him all night, but on Mac's second sack, you see Brady look back at him and just kind of hit him with his face like, man, you again? And Mac just hit him with a smile. It was beautiful. I hope I can find that picture on Twitter because that might be the new profile picture. But I'm not going to say Brady's washed because we saw what he did against the Chargers, rallying back from 17 points down. We'll talk about the Chargers in a minute, too. They're back in the news. But it was odd to see him standing there. And I'll break it all down in the article tomorrow for Last Run on Pro Football. I want to go back and watch the game again. But him standing there with the 4 fingers up just looked so sad, and you wanted to be like, damn, my man don't even know the game is over. Like, he was looking around stuck, like, why are they celebrating? I got another shot. Nah, fam. You need to step up off the field. So they're going to be talking about that, I'm sure. Bears got away with one. Look, every opponent they faced has been severely wounded. But that's the nature of the beast. You can only play who's in front of you on the schedule. They still have a very, very tough road ahead of them. They have they go to the Panthers, then to the Rams, then they host the Saints, which might be a break because they don't have to go down to the Superdome and play Drew Brees down there. But then they have to go to Tennessee, and they still play the Vikings before their bye. But then they come out of the bye, and they got to go to Green Bay. This is a tough stretch, but I saw a chart, and I got to check out how updated this is. But as of 2013, right, from 2000, oh my God, what was the date? 2007, 2000. Teams with a 4-1 record had a 71% chance of making the playoffs. I'll take those odds. An expanded field too. Yeah, look, I'll take those odds. Make it to the playoffs, anything can happen. And what we saw tonight, especially, despite a rough start, sloppy offense, Nick Foles missed a wide open Darnell Mooney down the field, and at the very least a Jimmy Graham running across the middle with some room to roam too. So he wasn't great the entire night, but what I did see was him overcome and kind of work his way through. He didn't fall apart, and he didn't need the spark necessarily, right? That huge play. He kind of just worked his way and stayed, and that's what he was billed as a guy who was just kind of consistently there. The Bears did lose James Daniel. He's going to have a MRI on his pectoral muscle. Hopefully he's not something the worst that everybody's fearing right now. But once he went down and Alex Bars came in, you saw a difference. The defensive line for the Buccaneers just started wreaking havoc. So hopefully Daniels comes back. But if he doesn't, hopefully some more preparation will allow Bars to play better than he played on Thursday, because that was just bad. In other primetime news, there will be another Monday Night Football doubleheader this week. The Bills-Titans matchup was originally set Sunday in the afternoon, but it's been postponed to Tuesday, not Monday, Tuesday at 7 p.m. That date, this is a story from per Adam Schefter. That date is dependent upon there being no more tests for the Titans, positive COVID tests. They've had 23 different players since the end of September. We're only in October 9th. Okay? They got 23 people. They had a workout with some high school students when they were supposed to be locked down. So they weren't doing what they're supposed to, and they're talking about some discipline, possible forfeiture, and that kind of stuff. But it seems like they'll just be being rescheduled. They said it's still unclear what happened to the Bills' Week 5 game against the Titans, if they were to develop more COVID tests, because the game in Week 6 would go to Thursday night and go a sketch. There's a lot of moving parts here, but the point is, you're going to see Bills-Titans on Tuesday. Also, Denver Broncos will be playing the Monday night game. This is the doubleheader at 5 p.m. because of the Patriots having their positive tests. Remember, everybody saw the picture of Stephon Gilmore with Patrick Mahomes after it was reported that Gilmore had tested positive and he rode the plane. He was out with Cam Newton before that. Whew, this is getting ugly. I talked about it, man. I tweeted the NFL is on a slippery slope and it's not getting much better. They're going to have to figure out a way to contain all of this. There might not be Thursday Night Football in Week 6. That's how wild this is all getting. Hopefully they can figure it out and they can go forward as they need to, and there's no more positives. But damn, these teams, it's almost like they need a bubble or something. Like they if they only had an example of a bubble situation working. Well, guess they won't, we'll never know. And like I told you, Los Angeles Chargers are back in the news, but this is a pleasant, bittersweet type of thing. Justin Herbert has been named the starter going forward. He has come in relief of Tyrod Taylor, who was accidentally punctured in the lung, or accidentally had his lung punctured by the team doctor trying to give him injection for a chest injury. So, that was wild. But Herbert's come in and completed 72% of his passes, 310 yards per game, 5 touchdowns, 3 picks. Now, the results haven't been great. The team has lost all 3 of the starts, but they've only lost them by less than a touchdown. But it gets kind of painful when the last 2 games have been by a turnover. 2 weeks ago, it was against the Panthers. Keenan Allen fumbled to end the game. And then last week, against the Buccaneers, Herbert threw a pick. So he's got to clean him up, some rookie mistakes, but he's playing too well, and he's the future. And that's Anthony Lynn said as much. He said he's impressed from the very beginning. This young man is going to continue to get better, and I know we can win with him. I believe that. He said, I did not take this decision lightly, excuse me. It's not a decision where he's going to be looking over his shoulder. He's our quarterback. And you know what? Rightfully so. I respect Anthony Lynn for saying that when Tyrod Taylor was healthy, he'd be inserted as a starter. You never like to think of a guy losing his job to an injury to another player, getting Wally pipped, as it were. But when you draft a quarterback in the first round, he comes in and he puts up solid numbers, and the games that he loses are close and by things that can go either way. Again, learning experience that he's going to have to get anyway. I don't see why you wouldn't try to, or wouldn't allow him to keep ahead going. Listen, I also appreciate Lynn not wanting to bench the brother in Tyrod Taylor. And Tyrod is my guy, Virginia Tech, but this has kind of been his MO, is to be that bridge guy. He was the bridge guy to Josh Allen, bridge guy to Lamar. Oh, I know I'm getting that other one mixed up, but now he was the bridge guy here to Justin Herbert. So he plays a very safe style of football, and their only win came with him. So they're saying he has that going for him, but I just hopefully Tyrod Taylor can find another team to bridge. That's kind of where the ceiling is. At least that's how it's always seemed. The teams that he has played for has seemed to want to keep him in that role every time. Like I said, Josh Allen and now Justin Herbert. So we'll see what goes on. But Justin Herbert is now going to be the starter for the Chargers going forward. One piece of bright news for them, in spite of all the injuries that they've been facing this year. Speaking of injuries, Dallas Cowboys left tackle Tyron Smith reportedly might shut it down for the season. He's dealing with a neck injury, had a setback. Just played the majority of the snaps for the Cowboys last week against the Browns, and now is getting second opinions and might shut it down for the season. The Cowboys that's not good, especially for a team that's been having to air it out like they have. You don't want to have a turnstile over there at the left tackle spot. And Smith missed week 2 and week 3, and his feelings weren't great. So maybe they'll get better if they have to play and they get more experience, but it's not going to be easy. And again, like I said, Dak's back there slanging that thing. So I don't know. That's big. Big story. That's not something to completely gloss over and just think that it's going to be A-okay. Because Dallas is able to run the ball. They're not running the ball particularly well or that much this season. It's actually been something that I noticed last game. Elliott got touches, but he didn't get carries. And if Ezekiel Elliott's not getting the carries, then it's kind of a waste because it's just not wearing on the defense and psychologically taking them out of it the way that I think that you want to. So would love to see them get into that more and possibly utilize it more. Again, I know the Browns were their defense is decent, but I think that the Cowboys can still get enough pushing. Elliott can do enough on his own on the ground to make it worth it. So, I would love to see them get more carries and stop trying to be this area. But again, Mike McCarthy offense, and I talked about that last episode. That's just kind of what you expect to see out of him. So, Dak's going to get paid. And hopefully Dak gets paid in Chicago. Hey, got to slip that one on in there. Man, that's just kind of what it is there. Tyron Smith, hopefully he doesn't have to shut it down, but it's not, again, that's huge for the Cowboys. Other games that I am looking forward to this week. The Jaguars in Texas is not one that I normally would look forward to, but I do want to see how the Texans respond now that they fired Bill O'Brien. In Jacksonville, this is a chance for them to prove that they actually are somewhat legitimate in Garfield. Gardner Minshew in particular, because I have serious doubts about him. I know everybody is high on him and they love him because of his personality, but I just don't know if he's that kind of guy yet, or if this is something that it's kind of just a gimmick and he's just good on a bad team. He can put up some numbers and some stats on a bad team. Brian Hoyer type of guy, where it's cool when he's going good, but things unravel for him quickly and they go really, really bad. So that's one that I'm looking forward to seeing. Bengals and the Ravens. Joe Burrow. Always looking forward to see the first overall pick in action and see what he can do. It's not a very loaded slate this week. Kyler Murray attempts to get back into the MVP race. He won't get back in. As his Cardinals travel to New York to face the Jets. Yeah, I just don't see. You got Vikings Seahawks. That one's going to be good because just the offense in that one is going to be kind of high powered and high octane. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings are averaging 30 points on the road. Russ and the Seahawks are allowing enough points at home to make you know that this is not the typical Seattle style defense or anything like that. So that's something to watch out for, a high scoring game. I also had some money on the Monday night game of the Chargers and the Saints. I took the under in this one. Chargers are without Austin Eckler. New Orleans, I think, is going to be without Michael Thomas. And I just don't know. And the Chargers have a nice red zone defense, so it could end up being more field goals than anything that gets the Saints over the hump. And, again, we've seen Herbert throw a pick in every game. Turnovers happen for the Chargers at critical moments in the last two games, and they've lost all three by less than a score. So I like the under. If nothing else, though, I definitely like the Chargers to cover. I think they'll be competitive. I just think that when it gets to crunch time right now, Herbert's still a rookie, and it shows. He's kind of like Drew Lock in that way to me, where he's just young enough that his experience kind of shows out when you look at it. And then the other Sunday game that two Sunday games, but now it's one Tuesday game. Sunday was the Colts at the Browns. The Colts just beat up on my Bears, just made them look bad, and the Browns just trucked the Dallas Cowboys. This is going to be a great offensive line going up against a great defensive line, and then a defense of the Browns that's very opportunistic, and an offense of the Colts that's been conservative and allowed to kind of matriculate the ball down the field. Without taking too many risks, but having enough ability to do so to keep defenses honest. We'll see how they handle this, how the Browns can handle a little bit of success right now. They have a running record, something you never see. The Colts, too. And I would also like to see the Browns get a little bit of, it's not revenge because it's not for the Bears, but, an L to the Colts. Matter of fact, I might need to see the Colts get a W so that it validates the Bears getting an L. Can't have the Browns beating them and the Bears didn't. That'll make no sense. Huh. Okay, had to figure this one out. And then last game will be the Titans-Bills. And, listen, Josh Allen's probably going to be the MVP. But what you're going to see this game, and it's going to be him too, it's going to be including him, but I want to see all Josh Allen and all Derrick Henry. And I'm just talking about chucking and running over fools for 60 minutes, please. I need to see read options. Tannehill, get up in this. Devin Singletary. I would love to see this game be the smash mouth defensive struggle that I think we all expect to see. But I do think that Josh Allen's going to air that bad boy out a few times at least. Stephon Diggs has proven to be a very valuable weapon for him down, up there in Buffalo. Something that I knew would happen. I was surprised that everybody was saying that you got to wait and see how it's going to work. Real quick side note, I'm surprised at how many people doubted Stephon Diggs' talent and really questioned whether or not he was the best receiver in Minnesota. I know people like Adam Thielen and he was putting up the crazy numbers, but I've never at any point thought that Thielen was the better. That's not disrespect to Thielen. That's just saying that Stephon Diggs was kind of different. A big play guy, stretch the field guy, sure, but more importantly, he's a guy that comes up big in clutch moments. So yeah, that was just always weird for me. And then like when they traded him away, a lot of Vikings fans were like, oh, that's fine. We got a first round pick, and Hot Buffalo gave up a first round pick for a dude who's not a number one. Look, he may not be a number one, but he is a very, very good number two impersonating a number one. So, look, you can take that and shove it. That don't mean nothing to me. Good for him. Glad to see them doing well again. I think Josh Allen will now win the MVP. It hurts me to say it because Kyler Murray was my dude for forever, but that ship I'm pretty sure has sailed unless both he, Allen, and Russell Wilson falter. And some might have Wilson as the top guy, seeing as how his Seahawks are undefeated and he's out here completing passes at an efficient, hellified efficient clip and throwing touchdowns to lead the league. So keep an eye on that. Those two are the top two guys, but I would say that, man, I don't know, because are the Titans going to slow this game down and not allow Allen to put up the numbers that Russ is undoubtedly going to be putting up when he faces Kirk? Because Cousins, look, I think Cousins is kind of like what I was talking about with Herbert, where when it comes down to it, you can almost count on him making that mistake right now. And so that'll be the difference. But I definitely think that the Vikings offense is capable of putting up points on the Seahawks defense, and that's going to cause Russ to have to put up points as well. When things happen, they've been letting Russ cook. So this could be the week that Russ, at the very least, closes that gap. And if not, overtakes him, depending on how Tennessee makes Allen look on the road here in Week 5. So, switching gears over to the NBA real quick. Just a quick head. We're down to the finals and not much other news happening right now. We're going to be doing some off-season talk about the Bulls coming up. I got some articles in the works for Pippin and Easy about some trades and then some low-key free agents that might be able to help in this off-season. I know they don't have any money, but some things that I would like to see happen to make that work out. So be on the lookout for that. But I do want to talk about the NBA Finals real quick and just what we are seeing. The Lakers are up 3-1 right now. The Heat got Game 3, but Lakers came back and took Game 4. And now they are on the verge of closing them out on Friday evenings, 8 Central? It's on ABC. I know that. And so they're going to be wearing the Black Mamba jerseys. They are undefeated in these jerseys so far in the post. Listen, they're great jerseys, and this is what the NBA wants. I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm just saying it's what the NBA wants, to have the Lakers in a weird season where you need some ratings, and that hasn't really helped. But this is what the one for the storyline, for the history books. Lakers winning a championship in honor of Kobe. It's very much propagandized, and I know they're going to be putting a whole bunch of type of imagery about it, and you're going to get nauseated, just be warned. But yeah, that's the thing that's happening. LeBron in this postseason, LeBron's finals MVP. I know people are talking about AD and what he's done on both ends of the floor, and he's been very valuable. But LeBron leads in every, or not leads in every category, but he's 28, 11, and 8, and we know that he's the straw that stirs the drink here. So I don't know. I just get confused when people act like you got to give it to AD, a guy who a lot of times hasn't dominated. He got in foul trouble the other game, cost them a game. Let Jimmy abuse him Bron let Jimmy go off and was putting the clamps in that game that Jimmy got the triple-double with 40 points. But he also turned it on and went to a whole other level. And you get a chance, check out the story on JJ Redick's podcast, Old Man in the Three, with DeMar DeRozan, where he talks about the 16 playoffs where LeBron's reading off a play, or told a Raptors player their own play and how to run it. But you've needed Bron on the floor. And I know AD's been pivotal, and he's right there. But that disappearing game that they ended up losing, I think, hurt him ultimately. And Bron's being the most consistent member of the Lakers has been what's going to win him his finals MVP while he wins his 4th NBA Finals on Friday. Jimmy Butler of the Heat doesn't put up a hell of an effort, 27-7 and 10 assists per game. Bro, my man has turned into a point forward for real. I think that's due to an injury, and he's not able to move the way he wants to. He hasn't shot as much either, and I think that's part of why. But he's been scoring like he needs to. Jimmy's been getting to the basket. He's been a leader. Jimmy's a dog, and if they had a better team, if they had Goran Dragic and a full serving of Bam throughout this thing, they might have been able to pull it off. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like the Heat are completely overmatched. I know that we talk about them being a lesser than opponent. I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna say is they are just like every other opponent of the champion, in that there were probably some things that broke the champ's way to allow them to win the championship. So that's what's happening here. Jimmy is up there with a bunch of misfits and no names, rookies. Tyler Hero's averaging 17 points per game in the NBA Finals as a rookie. Bam Adebayo came back from a hurt shoulder to play in Game 4. Goran Dragic is out here fighting to play with a torn plantar fascia. Like, it's just these are not supposed to happen, right? And the sweet shooting that the Heat were enjoying has kind of dried up. It's almost like passing in the playoffs, right? You need that good run game, and the Heat just didn't have it. Partially with Bam, but also because Spoelstra was a little bit hesitant to put in Kelly Olynyk and Myers Leonard in the rotation as big men, which I think he should have done from the beginning, to stretch the floor, add some more bodies. Just so many reasons to do it, and very few to not do it. That's a head scratcher to me that I think Spoelstra got out coached on, and that maybe it may have been in response to the Lakers trying to keep it smaller. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's probably one that I'm going to have to go and see. Maybe he addressed it already and I missed it, but I would love to get an explanation as to why he didn't put them in earlier. Maybe it wouldn't even have mattered. Maybe, so who knows? But I fully expect the Lakers to close this bad boy out on Friday. I don't think we're going into another game. I think it would be Sunday, maybe even Monday, but I don't see it going that far. This will be a wrap. And Bron will have it for it. And the get ready. If you are a Bron hater, you already know Laker Nation is going to talk, but if you are a Bron hater, get ready for GOAT talk all winter. And I mean, at least, when's the season starting? In January? Yeah. Get ready for the next 3 months to hear nothing but LeBron is the GOAT because of this, and he won in a bubble. Bron bubble rings 1, Mike bubble rings 0. At this point, I'm kind of burnt out of the conversation because I've come to realize that answer changes with every generation. So I'm kind of at the point where I still hold that Mike's the GOAT. I see what people will say that they think LeBron is, and I can't wait to see who the next one's going to be where people are saying that. Just because to watch it has to be an interesting process when you've seen it happen before and you know that the criteria changes based on who is the judge. So, yeah. In other LA news, Lawrence Frank, the president of the Los Angeles Clippers, won Executive of the Year. This was kind of intriguing, and Jared Dudley of the Lakers had some things to say about it. He said it should have been Rob Pelinka. I kind of think it should be Sam Presti, because if you're down there fleecing teams, right, you got Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook. You got Chris Paul to come in and be a great mentor, and you might get a first-round pick out of him after this, right? You got Gilgeous-Alexander, and you got a whole bunch of draft picks in exchange for a guy who didn't want to be there, and the dude who was kind of just left looking like Will Smith in that meme, standing in the room by himself. So I kind of think it should have been Sam Presti. You gave Billy Donovan Coach of the Year. Billy Donovan has now gotten more credit than the two dudes in that organization who really deserve it. And Presti's made some big boneheaded decisions. Don't get me wrong. But damn it if that wasn't a great deal. Because now you got people speculating whether or not the Clippers are going to be together in the next 2 years. So, and then the way that the Clippers season unraveled. Now, granted, that's the postseason. This is a regular season award, but damn, that is awful. I just don't like that. I really do not like that. When you have a haul, like I said, that was a massive, massive trade. And here's the thing. This is especially why Presti should have gotten it. They did all of that in an attempt to tank or rebuild, go into rebuild mode, and ended up making the playoffs in the freaking Western Conference as the 5th seed. Yeah, man, they blew that one. Lawrence Frank, no disrespect to Lawrence Frank, but that's Sam Presti's award. Point blank, period. I don't know how, dude, the more I think about this, I'm kind of mad because I don't know how they allowed this to even be a damn thing. They had a 0.2 chance. 0.2 chance. Make it the playoffs, 5th seed. Man, that's Presti's award. that's going to do it for this episode of Triples. I'm sorry, I got super distracted. That's going to do it for this episode of Triple Zeros. Follow me on Twitter at JoshEBuck. Hit up the Facebook page, Clocker Sports, website, clockersports.com, email address, clockersports@gmail.com, and of course, read the stuff. Last Word on Pro Football, pimpingainteasy.com. Like I said, clockersports.com, and be on the lookout for the roundtable. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this Bears win and what this really means with them now sitting at 4-1, and in good position to make the playoffs. So until the very next time, you already know what it is, man. I think that's the sound of the horn.